people want to be good. Machiavelli wanted to understand how they really behave. This is the difference between ordinary thinkers and strategic minds. Most people cling to ideals: kindness, honesty, fairness, integrity. Machiavelli studied what exists beneath those ideals: desire, fear, insecurity, ambition, ego, and self-preservation. He wasn't interested in who people pretend to be. He was obsessed with who they become when power is at stake. And if you want to outsmart people, truly outsmart them, you must study human nature, not human words. Because intelligence alone is not enough. You can be smart and still be deceived. You can be brilliant and still be manipulated. You can be rational and still be outplayed emotionally. You can be logical and still misinterpret intentions. The world doesn't reward the smartest minds. It rewards the minds that understand others. This is why Machiavelli became one of the most feared and respected thinkers in history, because he made one bold decision. I will stop assuming people are good and start observing how they behave. That shift made him dangerous. That shift made him powerful. That shift made him impossible to manipulate. And that shift is the foundation of this entire protocol. Before we go deeper into Machiavelli's psychology of human nature, tap like and hit subscribe, because what comes next strips away the polite mask people wear, shows you the motives behind their words, and gives you the kind of clarity that makes you impossible to fool. Let's reveal the first two rules. Rule 1. Predict behavior by ignoring words and studying motives. Machiavelli believed one thing with absolute certainty. People lie with their words. People reveal everything with their motives. Words are cheap. Words are flexible. Words are emotional. Words are masks. People say what sounds good. They say what gains approval. They say what avoids conflict. They say what protects their reputation. They say what hides their true intentions. But motives? Motives don't lie. If someone wants validation, they'll act in ways that secure attention. If someone wants power, they'll act in ways that create leverage. If someone wants approval, they'll act in ways that maintain harmony. If someone wants control, they'll act in ways that make you dependent. If someone wants advantage, they'll act in ways that position them above you. Machiavelli taught that predicting human behavior becomes easy once you stop listening to what people say and start analyzing what they want. Ignore their words. Watch their patterns. Watch their habits. Watch their emotional triggers. Watch what they protect. Watch what they fear losing. A person's desires reveal their next move before they make it. This is how Machiavellian thinkers stay ahead. They observe the internal engine behind every external action. Rule 2. Control perception and you control outcomes. Machiavelli understood something most people still fail to realize. Reality matters, but perception shapes reality. People respond not to the truth, but to the version of the truth they believe. Perception determines trust. Perception determines influence. Perception determines respect. Perception determines fear. Perception determines opportunity. This is why the most powerful people in history didn't just control facts. They controlled how those facts appeared. They shaped narratives, images, impressions, and expectations. Machiavelli's insight was simple, but ruthless. It is not necessary to be powerful. It is necessary to appear powerful. It is not necessary to be feared. It is necessary to appear unshakable. When people perceive you as stable, they stop testing you. When people perceive you as unpredictable, they stop provoking you. When people perceive you as high value, they treat you with caution. When people perceive you as emotionally controlled, they hesitate to manipulate you. When people perceive you as observant, they reveal less, and therefore reveal more. Perception is a psychological field, and if you master it, you shape how people behave around you without saying a word. A Machiavellian strategist uses perception like armor, silent, invisible, and incredibly effective. Machiavelli understood something most people never learn. The moment someone can read you, they can control you. The moment someone can predict you, they can outmaneuver you. The moment someone knows your intentions, they can sabotage them. This is why unpredictability was one of Machiavelli's core principles. Not because he enjoyed chaos, but because he understood the psychology behind it. Humans fear what they cannot understand. They respect what they cannot easily interpret. They hesitate around what they cannot predict. Unreadability becomes dominance, not through force, but through uncertainty. Your silence becomes a strategy. Your calmness becomes intimidation. Your restraint becomes power. Let's enter the next two rules. Rule 3. Never reveal your full intentions. People ruin their own advantages by being too transparent. They announce their goals. They explain their plans. They justify their decisions. They reveal their vulnerabilities. They expose their desires. Machiavelli warned that when people know your intentions, they can block them. They can slow you down. They can interfere. They can manipulate you. They can predict your next move. But when you become unreadable, when you reveal little, speak less, and show nothing prematurely, you become impossible to counter. A Machiavellian strategist keeps intentions behind a closed door. You move quietly. You plan silently. You observe without reacting. You take action only when leverage is highest. You never reveal your next step until it's too late for others to stop it. Because once people know your intention, they start preparing against you. But if they don't know what you're doing, they cannot align their strategy with yours. Unreadability protects you. Unreadability disarms others. Unreadability gives you time, space, and psychological advantage. Rule 4. Stay calm, make others emotional. This is one of Machiavelli's most underestimated rules, and one of the most powerful. The calm mind controls the emotional mind, always. Not sometimes, not occasionally, always. Because emotion blinds judgment. Emotion creates tunnel vision. Emotion produces mistakes. Emotion reveals insecurity. Emotion exposes motives. Emotion loosens control. Manipulators, predators, and psychological players all rely on one thing: your emotional reaction. If you become angry, they gain leverage. If you become guilty, they gain influence. If you become fearful, they gain control. If you become desperate, they gain advantage. But if you stay calm, they lose everything. Machiavellian thinkers understand emotional asymmetry. If you're calm while others are emotional, you win without confrontation, because emotional people reveal their thoughts. Calm people conceal theirs. Emotional people make irrational moves. Calm people see the weaknesses those moves create. Emotional people feel the need to respond. Calm people choose if they respond at all. This is why Machiavelli admired leaders who were still, quiet, and unmoved. Because emotional control is the highest form of strategic intelligence. Your calmness becomes their instability. Your neutrality becomes their frustration. Your silence becomes their mirror. Emotional asymmetry as a power weapon. Emotional asymmetry means one mind stays controlled while the other becomes chaotic. It creates a psychological imbalance that gives one person complete dominance over the interaction. When someone else is emotional and you are not, they speak too much. They reveal too much. They beg for clarity. They pressure you for a reaction. They expose their fears. They expose their intentions. They expose their weaknesses. And you? You remain still. You observe. You gather information. You gain advantage. You dictate the tone. You dictate the timing. You dictate the outcome. It is not cruelty. It is strategy. Machiavelli believed the calmest mind in the room is the mind with the most power, because calmness is a weapon that emotional people cannot defend against. Why manipulators fail against Machiavellian thinkers? Manipulators rely on predictability, emotional vulnerability, fear of conflict, need for approval, guilt sensitivity, impulsive reactions. Machiavellian thinkers eliminate all six. They aren't predictable. They aren't emotionally reactive. They don't fear conflict. They don't chase approval. They don't fall for guilt. They don't respond quickly. Manipulation requires emotional cooperation. Machiavellian thinking denies that cooperation entirely. A manipulator cannot lure someone who waits. A manipulator cannot threaten someone who stays calm. A manipulator cannot guilt someone who feels no emotional pull. A manipulator cannot predict someone who reveals nothing. They try their usual tactics, and nothing happens. Manipulation dies in the presence of a calm, unreadable mind. Machiavelli understood something that most people overlook their entire lives. It's not the strongest, the smartest, or even the most experienced who win. It's the one who chooses the right moment to move. Most people exhaust themselves trying to force outcomes, persuade others, and control situations through effort. But Machiavelli knew effort is useless when timing is wrong. Timing is leverage. Timing is precision. Timing is an advantage. Timing is power. A single move made at the right moment is more effective than 10 moves made out of desperation. This is why Machiavelli studied not only action, but inaction. Not only movement, but deliberate stillness. Strategic inaction isn't laziness. It is psychological intelligence. It is refusing to act until action guarantees impact. If these insights are shifting how you see motives, perception, and human behavior, tap like and hit subscribe. Your support matters, and it helps this message reach more people who are ready to stop trusting assumptions and start reading people with dangerous clarity. Let's move to the next two rules. Rule 5. Act decisively when the moment is right. Most people hesitate when the right moment appears. They overthink. They second-guess. They fear consequences. They wait until the opportunity evaporates. But Machiavelli believed that once the opening appears, hesitation is defeat. Fortune favors the bold because boldness arrives before resistance forms. The right moment is fragile. It appears quickly and disappears even faster. You must strike with decisiveness, clean, sharp, unhesitating. A Machiavellian strategist watches silently, waits patiently, observes carefully, calculates slowly. And when the moment reveals itself, they act instantly. No debates, no emotional conflict, no external approval needed. Because decisive action shocks people. It disrupts their expectations. It prevents them from preparing defenses. It forces them into reaction mode, while you remain in control. Decisiveness isn't aggression. It is controlled precision. Rule 6. Let others reveal themselves before you move. Machiavelli believed your greatest advantage doesn't come from forcing others. It comes from letting others expose themselves. People reveal their intentions when you give them space. They reveal their weaknesses when they think you're not watching. They reveal their loyalties when you stop asking. They reveal their character when you remain silent. They reveal their fears when you refuse to react. Most people sabotage themselves because they can't hide their true motives for long. Machiavelli learned that if you wait, the truth eventually walks straight toward you. This is why silence is such a powerful strategy. Silence forces people to fill the space. Silence makes them uncomfortable. Silence drives them to over-explain. Silence triggers their subconscious patterns. And while they do all of this, you gather the information you need to win. A Machiavellian strategist does not show their hand first. They let others speak, act, reveal, and expose themselves. Only once the opponent's pattern is clear, only once the weaknesses are visible, only once the intentions are undeniable, does the strategist make a move. This is how you win, by understanding rather than fighting. These rules apply everywhere because human nature hasn't changed since Machiavelli's time. In dating, people reveal themselves quickly when you stay calm and don't try to impress. You avoid heartbreak because you see the truth early. You maintain power because you don't rush into attachment. The one who observes always has an advantage over the one who performs. In business, silence in negotiation makes the other side panic and speak too much. Waiting reveals desperation. A strategic pause exposes hidden motives, internal pressure, and unspoken goals. He who speaks less holds more leverage. In conflict, your lack of reaction forces the aggressor to show their real motive. Your patience reveals the cracks in their strategy. Your restraint makes them emotional. And emotional people make mistakes. Calmness is dominance disguised as neutrality. In every arena, action without timing is noise. Inaction without intention is weakness. But intentional inaction, followed by decisive action, is power. This is where your identity shifts from reactive to strategic, from impulsive to patient, from predictable to unreadable. You stop chasing outcomes. You stop forcing conversations. You stop rushing decisions. You stop responding instantly. You stop revealing your thinking too early. You become someone who waits with purpose, not passively, but deliberately. Your patience becomes pressure. Your silence becomes a test. Your calmness becomes a filter. Your timing becomes lethal. You become the person who is always one move ahead, not because you move faster, but because you move smarter. This is Machiavelli's form of intelligence. Not loud, not dramatic, but quietly superior. Machiavelli understood a truth that most people overlook. Power is rarely taken through confrontation. It is built quietly through influence. Loud people attract attention. Quiet strategists attract information. Loud people create resistance. Quiet strategists create advantage. Loud people try to dominate the room. Quiet strategists learn how to own the room. Machiavelli knew you don't win by forcing people into submission. You win by guiding them without them noticing. And this is what separates social dominance from social intimidation. Dominance without confrontation is a higher form of intelligence because it lets you control outcomes without creating enemies. It lets you rise in status without creating suspicion. It lets you influence people without them ever feeling controlled. This is Machiavelli's silent architecture of power. Let's enter the next rules. Rule 7. Build power. Quietly, not publicly. People make a fatal mistake. They try to look powerful before they become powerful. They brag. They show off. They broadcast their achievements. They reveal their ambitions. They talk more than they observe. Machiavelli saw this as weakness, not confidence. Why? Because public ambition attracts enemies. Public confidence attracts challengers. Public plans attract sabotage. Public strength attracts insecurity. Public visibility attracts scrutiny. But quiet power? Quiet power grows untouched. A Machiavellian strategist builds influence silently, letting their skills mature without announcing them, building alliances without showcasing them, increasing their knowledge without advertising it, rising in value before anyone realizes it happened. By the time the world notices your position, it's too late for them to challenge it. This is how you win without confrontation. You climb where no one is watching. Quiet power is permanent because it is not dependent on validation. Quiet power is stable because no one saw it forming. Quiet power is threatening because no one understands how you built it. Rule 8. Win favor, but never depend on it. Machiavelli understood the fragility of human loyalty. People are loyal as long as it benefits them. People are supportive as long as they feel admired. People are helpful as long as it requires little sacrifice. People are consistent as long as circumstances don't test them. This is why Machiavelli respected favor, but never relied on it. Win people's goodwill, but build your plans as if you have none. A Machiavellian thinker does not depend on approval, validation, or popularity. They understand that public admiration is fickle and easily manipulated. Instead, they cultivate favor as a tool, not a foundation. They make people feel valued, but do not let the feeling define their self-worth. They make people feel understood, but do not depend on their opinions. They win people's favor, but never place their survival in someone else's hands. Influence is strongest when you can walk away from it. Dependence is weakness. Machiavelli knew this deeply. You can win favor without becoming controlled by it. You can earn support without needing it. You can influence people without depending on them. This is the mental independence that makes Machiavellian thinkers impossible to manipulate. How subtle influence beats loud persuasion. When someone tries too hard to persuade, they trigger suspicion. People resist what feels forced. People doubt what feels exaggerated. People push back when they sense desperation. But subtle influence moves beneath awareness. It never feels like control. It feels natural, inevitable, self-chosen. Subtle influence sounds like a well-timed silence, a calm reaction, a small compliment, a slight hesitation, a strategic withdrawal, a carefully chosen question. It's not what you say, show. It's what you allow the other person to reveal. Machiavelli understood this. People trust what they believe they discovered themselves. Loud persuasion pressures people. Subtle influence guides them. Loud persuasion creates resistance. Subtle influence creates alignment. Loud persuasion demands agreement. Subtle influence makes agreement feel like their own idea. This is how Machiavellian thinkers control outcomes without ever appearing controlling. By now, the pattern is clear. You don't win through loud displays. You win through quiet positioning. You don't dominate through force. You dominate through influence. You don't gain power by demanding it. You gain power by embodying it. You don't outsmart people by confronting them. You outsmart them by observing them. This is psychological power, blended with strategic patience. It is slow, silent, deliberate, and devastatingly effective. You are no longer someone who pushes for dominance. You are someone who naturally commands it. People sense it. People adjust to it. People respect it. People fear misinterpreting it. This is Machiavelli's version of authority. A quiet, controlled, undeniable influence over the world around you. There is a moment in every strategic thinker's evolution where they stop reacting to people and start studying them. A moment where human behavior becomes predictable. Patterns become obvious. Motives become transparent, and emotional manipulation loses all power. This is the psychological transformation Machiavelli intended. You stop assuming innocence. You analyze intention. You stop taking words literally. You watch for motive. You stop exposing your plans. You protect your silence. You stop rushing. You wait for timing. You stop seeking approval. You build independence. You stop reacting emotionally. You embrace calmness. You do not become cruel. You become clear. Dangerously clear. And in a world where most people walk around blinded by emotion, insecurity, and illusion, clarity becomes an unfair advantage. This is the point where you become someone no one can read, no one can manipulate, no one can predict, and no one can outsmart. Because you now possess Machiavelli's full playbook, and you understand the psychology behind it. Let's bring everything together. These are not tricks. These are not tactics. These are the 9 pillars of strategic intelligence. 1. Predict behavior by ignoring words and studying motives. People reveal truth through desire, not language. 2. Control perception and you control outcomes. People respond to what they think you are. 3. Never reveal your full intentions. A hidden plan is a protected plan. 4. Stay calm. Make others emotional. The calm mind controls the emotional mind. 5. Act decisively. When the moment is right. Timing is more powerful than effort. 6. Let others reveal themselves before you move. Silence exposes patterns faster than confrontation. 7. Build power. Quietly, not publicly. Invisible power is untouchable power. 8. Win favor but never depend on it. Independence is stability. Dependence is vulnerability. 9. Outsmart. By out-observing. See what others overlook. Mastery comes from awareness, not aggression. Together, these rules form a mindset that makes manipulation impossible and strategic advantage inevitable. Why Machiavelli's principles create dangerous clarity. Most people live in emotional fog. They trust words. They assume fairness. They expect reciprocity. They overlook motives. They react impulsively. They reveal too much. They decide too quickly. Machiavelli cuts through the fog. He teaches you to watch without reacting, listen without believing, move without announcing, wait without collapsing, act without hesitation, detach without guilt, and control without force. This creates what we call dangerous clarity, a level of awareness that feels almost unfair because you see truths others don't even know exist. You stop falling for games because you see the game board. You stop being blindsided because nothing blinds you anymore. You stop being manipulated because you understand the manipulator. Clarity becomes your shield. Observation becomes your weapon. silence becomes your strategy, and timing becomes your victory. Rule 9. Outsmart by out-observing. See what others overlook. This is Machiavelli's final rule, the rule that elevates you beyond intellect and into mastery. Outsmarting people is not about being smarter. It's about seeing what they don't see. People miss things constantly. They miss contradictions. They miss emotional leaks. They miss insecurity behind confidence. They miss the motive behind kindness. They miss fear behind anger. They miss the pattern behind chaos. They miss opportunities inside silence. But Machiavellian thinkers? They observe everything. Observation gives you foresight, leverage, protection, advantage, precision, and psychological immunity. Most people react. You anticipate. Most people speak. You listen. Most people expose themselves. You reveal nothing. Most people move too soon. You move only at the correct moment. Observation turns you into someone impossible to manipulate, because before someone makes a move, you already know why they're making it. If this message revealed the psychology beneath people's words and intentions, tap, like, and hit subscribe. And drop this in the comments. I choose awareness over illusion. Because once you see people the way Machiavelli saw them, you stop being deceived by performances, and you start moving through the world with strategic, unshakable clarity.